Hello, welcome to the Shifted Lifestyle with Isioma Joyce. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's very, very, very heavy on my mind. It is because um, it's something that affects all of us. I don't care who you are and how perfect your life might be, everybody has been through some level of trauma. So today my topic is moving from trauma to purpose. What is trauma? Trauma is any experience that you've had that's deeply disturbing, that has affected you in one way or another. There are several levels of trauma. Some examples of trauma could be like going through an abusive relationship or going through something, maybe a financial difficulty or something that maybe you got um, you just maybe your company just went bankrupt, or even maybe you got somebody swindled you. Another type of trauma is emotional trauma that manifests from maybe childhood issues that were never really fully dealt with. Another type of trauma that could happen is, the constant trauma of being in an environment that's toxic. Could be at work, could be at home, could be in different places. Trauma is anything that's deeply disturbing that has affected your everyday routine. So, because of that definition, there is no thing that could say this is trauma. Trauma is individual to the person. Whatever has caused you to feel a certain way about something has made the experience traumatic for you. That is trauma. Anything that's caused you some type of deep loss of something, some emotional issues, or has caused you to feel a certain way that that has now presented to you in a way that is not really healthy for you. You've been through some level of trauma. What are some signs that you are constantly going through trauma right now? Every time you have flashbacks about an incident, it really affects you and you're thinking, how can I get over this? You know, one of the reasons why trauma needs to be directed to purpose is because trauma has the ability to cause even physical illnesses, psychosomatic diseases, manifest in the body. That's the because the body has a mind, body, and soul connection. When the flow is disrupted, you tend to see disease manifest in the body, different types of inflammations, everything from arthritis to gout to I mean, ulcers, different things. Could manifest in the body in so many different ways. Unhealed trauma is very dangerous to you. And so, why is it important that we address trauma and move it to purpose? It's because our bodies, our minds, tends to reflect and we focus on the most predominant thing that's in our heart. So, for example, um, I had a patient a few years ago, and the amazing thing about this particular situation was that she had reoccurring gout. And she had gout that would come on at certain time of the year. And, I'm an occupational therapist, so many times I'm called to a patient's home for anything that's affecting their daily activities. So anything that's causing falls in the home or anything that's causing the person to not be able to attend to their daily activities, many times after they see their doctor, many times they're referred to a therapist. And so I might be coming out to your home for things like that. So I had this one particular patient, and she had reoccurring gout. Gout is built up of uric acid that affects the toe. So, at that point, the toe would just be so swollen and it's red, and the person might not be able to walk and things like that. And then I started kind of asking questions, even beyond the treatment plan of, you know, um, the different remedies that she can use to help with the gout. Started asking questions that could be triggering this buildup of uric acid on her toe at this particular time of the year. Because I remember that I came out to her home exactly around November. the previous year, and I remembered her when I got another referral the following November that this was the same person I saw the year before. And in interviewing her and asking her questions, I realized that, she had an incident happen to her one year just right before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is like the second, third Thursday of in November where families come together. So this particular lady had, I think she felt that she was not meeting up with the expectations of her other family members. So she felt that she was she didn't measure up. So around that November time of the year, she will go through a lot of trauma, a lot of mental, emotional issues. She would have flashback of things that happened. So because of that, the body would start to react. So why is it important that we need to address unhealed trauma? It could manifest in so many ways in our bodies. So why do we need to move from trauma to purpose? You see, our lives are meant to fulfill God's plan. It's very important that we know our purpose for our lives. It's so important because once you have a sense of purpose, when you go through a situation that could be traumatic, one of the things that could help heal that trauma is having a sense of purpose, knowing that, what, I went through this and I need to now, in spite of whatever I'm going through, I have a purpose. I have a overall theme for my life. I have an overall sense of what I need to do with my life. That helps take the focus off the things that you're going through. So, for example, if you know that God is giving you a gift to paint and to or to draw or something, to be an artist, and you're going through a lot of emotional issues, things that might have happened, you can redirect that to from feeling a certain way to now beginning to use that. Maybe you begin to paint pictures that are healing, pictures that are that when people see them, painting pictures of maybe how you feel on paper or even doing it on a canvas, and even using that as a mode of healing for yourself and redirecting that energy to something else. That's one way to heal from trauma. Taking that focus of the things that you're going through, and then beginning to use that as a vehicle for the next thing. So, for example, maybe a rape victim, who has reoccurring issues and things like that that might have affected him or her in different ways. One of the ways that could help is one, writing your thoughts down on paper and even using that to write a book. So maybe you went through so and so experience and this things happen to you. Even maybe putting those thoughts down on paper and writing a book, and then even focusing on how you're going to market that book, how maybe you're going to reach an audience of people who had gone through similar experience or who are at risk of going through those experiences. Rechanneling those thoughts, rechanneling those issues are some things that you can really do to heal. Why is it important to move from trauma to purpose? Unhealed or unresolved or unaddressed trauma creates a lot of anxiety in a person's life that can even lead to panic attacks. So there are so many examples. For example, one of the people that I remember when every time I talk about this is Tyler Perry. His childhood was very traumatic. He had a lot of experiences that were quote unquote deeply disturbing. He had a lot of issues where he was molested as a child. He also went through homelessness, where he was sleeping in his car. But today the world celebrates him. And he talked, and the amazing thing about this, his life was that he created Medea. Medea is a character that was used in his movies. And a lot of the overlining theme of Medea had to do with healing, forgiveness, and going through some of this experience that he might have had when he was younger. And he channeled that. And look at Tyler Perry today. I mean, that man is doing well. So one of the things that we really need to understand is that our experiences are sometimes the tools that God can use to heal us of the experiences we go through. Another thing is that you have to remember that your greatest pain is always God's tool for your healing. The things that you've went through that have been deeply disturbing is God's tool for your next level. And God will never waste a hurt. Some of the things that have affected us deeply are now the things that have channeled us to begin to push forward with our purpose. I really, really want to implore you and anybody else that's listening to this show today is that don't ever stop at where you are. I want you to think about the things that have deeply disturbed you and ask yourself, what is the purpose for me going through this? Moving from trauma to purpose is intentional. You have to become intentional about how to move from that place to the next place. I recommend get a therapist. I recommend get people who are coming to the company of people that you want to become. Like, I'm not talking about people who are going to put you down or make your experience feel less, or, people who are smiling with you. Oh, no, 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 no. But, their heart done quite align. We know those kind of people. But anyway, that's not the topic for today. Trauma is something that you must heal from. Trauma is what you must pay attention to. Trauma is knowing and understanding the deep issues that are affecting you and how you can now use them as a tool. I'm going to leave you with this. In the Bible, there are so many people who started off as, not worthy. For example, Rahab the prostitute. We know what happened to her life. God used her as one of the examples of what he can do with people that are rejected. Another woman is the woman at the well. Very clearly she had married 5 husbands and none of them were her husband. And, everybody kind of looked at her like, But anyway, her story was one that it was very clear that she was a tool that God wanted to use, and he introduced her to a new way of living. He told her, even the man that you're living with right now is not your husband. He told her things about herself, and he introduced her to the living water. So that's what I'm going to stop at here today. In spite of the trauma you've gone through, in spite of the experiences you've gone through, just like the woman at the well, I want to introduce you to a new level of life. I want to introduce you to the living water, which is Christ Jesus. He gives us new life. But more importantly, I want you to understand that your life today is not by chance. What's happening to your life today is a design of the Almighty God. And in spite of whatever it is that you're going through right now, the next level of your life, if you decide to take that step to move from that traumatic experience to a life of purpose, you will find out that nothing was ever by chance. Everything was already planned by God. Welcome to the Shifted Lifestyle. Look out for my next episodes. My name is Isioma Joyce, and I'm excited to connect with you. Connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a good day.